not down
Okay.
with it either.
Well, speaking on capitalism, girl.
Yeah.
So the prison reform, the First Step Act, the President Trump spoke about prison reform, you all.
Yes.
I was so happy to see that when I turned on the television the other day. Listen, this here type of thing is a bipartisan bill that will make our community safer and give former inmates a second chance at life after they've served their time. The First Step Act has strong support from law enforcement community. President Trump said throughout this process, he said, my administration has worked closely with law enforcement. Their backing has ensured that this legislation remain tough on crime.
Amazing.
It's got to remain very tough on crime. So just because the president is giving you a second chance, we're also remaining tough on crime.
Yeah.
You can't go out there and do something, oh, he gonna give you a second chance.
Yeah.
No. We don't want you to commit crime, but what he's looking out for is people that are in the criminal system, in the system.
Yes.
When you get out, you won't do things that put yourself back in there because you'll be able to get a job,
yes,
raise your children,
exactly,
take care of your family, come back into the family unit.
Yes.
So I absolutely love that. He also said, my administration will always support incredible men and women of law enforcement.
Wow.
And we will continue to pursue policies that help the heroes who keep us safe. And I think that this will help our officers. Listen, we understand that people get put in the system.
Right.
And we understand what happened back in the early 90s when Bill Clinton signed the crime bill into law.
That's right.
Had thousands upon thousands of people locked up.
And it severely affected black people.
It surely did. Yes, it did.
Yes, it did. And
you
Bill Clinton was a Democrat. Go ahead.
Bill Clinton had to do that.
Right.
The reason why I think they had to do that is because they was taking money from private prisons. So that was a way to fill the prisons.
Right.
I'll say allegedly, but that's my own personal opinion about it. Because why was you taking money from these private prisons?
Right.
You found a way to fill them.
That's
right. By signing this bill into law.
Yeah.
So this was an easy kickback, patty whack, give a dog a bone
That's
for you.
right. So they made money times
Absolutely. Absolutely.
That's right.
And so when you have a president who they want to call out of his name, they want to deem him as racist and call him all of these nasty names. Well, I don't see a racist making sure that people get a second chance. I ain't never heard of no racist that made sure that African Americans or Americans have job opportunities.
Right.
I haven't seen that. Making sure that the economy is strong so you can now pick and choose whatever job you want, and anybody can do that. And so I really get upset. I'm just so beside myself.
If he's a racist, he's bad at being one, because let me tell you something. Obama was the first biracial president.
Yes, he was.
And his black side did nothing for black people.
No, it didn't.
So one thing that was plaguing the black community was the justice system.
Well, they always talked about prison reform. They always talked about prison reform, but you know what? This has got to be a bipartisan effort.
It has to
but
be.
What ticks me off, now I heard that some people was not going to sign on to it.
Well, yes, but the deal is black people especially got to understand you continue to vote for the same system that put this system in place.
That's
for
right.
You.
That's right.
You continue to vote for it. So when I see them out in the street marching and talking about no justice, no peace, you continue to vote for the same system that gives you no justice, no peace.
Right.
Because it was Bill Clinton, a Democrat,
that's right,
that put this measure in place for you.
Speaking of Democrats, I also heard that I believe in Florida, and please you all, if I got it wrong, tell me I got it wrong. I think it was in Florida that they were trying to allow, or they did allow people with felons, inmates to vote.
Okay.
Prisoners to vote.
They were ex-felons or people that got out of prison?
I could not nail it down.
All
okay.
Right.
And so people were upset about that. But here's the deal.
What's the deal?
I think if you've done your time, if you do the crime, do your time, then when you get out, you should be restored with whatever, okay?
Right.
With your rights, okay?
Right.
But I also need to make sure that we also educate these people that were locked up in the early 90s. The Democrats is the one that had you locked up like that did the 3 strikes you off. So if you did something petty, if that was your 3rd strike, you was out. Now you're going to be in there for years.
Remember, that's the bill and legislation they wrote.
I have to have you locked up.
The Democrats wrote that. Okay?
I think that if you educate these felons that's coming out to let, when did you get locked up? I'm going to tell you who did that and who made that hard for you.
That's right.
Then you will have those people voting Republican. It's all about educating and keeping people informed. Letting them understand.
Because
a
lot of people don't understand that. A lot of people don't even know that it was the Democrats that fought to keep black people enslaved. To keep them enslaved. It was the Republicans that fought those Democrats to free the slaves.
It surely was.
And a lot of people do not know that. But now, this is what's gotten to me.
Okay, what got to you? Come on, girl.
This got me really bad, okay? Because you have a lot of people that's in Congress, congressmen, congresswomen. You have some of them that marched for civil rights.
Yes.
They marched for your freedom, but wouldn't even come to the table to vote for your freedom.
That's how they do.
Go
ahead and name them all.
Call them out.
Call them out like you see it.
Maxine Waters.
Yeah.
John Lewis.
That's the one that got hit in the head.
And he marched for civil rights.
But he don't want to come to the table to make sure.
But don't want to come to the table to help the people that's getting out of prison. Al Green, David Scott, Hank Johnson.
So these people, and these are people of color now.
All of these are black folk, people of color. Bobby Rush, Elijah Cummings, Anthony Brown, Donald Payne, and Sheila Jackson.
So they don't want to come to the table.
Right.
To make sure that people have a second chance when they get out of prison.
Right.
Yet they march in the streets.
Yes.
No justice, no peace. We need this. We need to change our justice reform, our prison reform.
Right.
You see what I'm talking about?
And they've been sitting here even under Obama, but now one of them had enough sense to write any type of piece of legislation towards prison reform under Obama.
But then they went along with Bill Clinton when he said we're going to lock him up.
Come on.
Because they didn't even realize that Bill Clinton, or they just turned a blind eye, was getting his kickback, patty whack, give a dog a bone from all of this.
That's right.
It's so sad.
It's so sad.
Well, we're going to have to continue to call them out.
We got to call them out one by one.
We're going to have to continue because you all sit up there and you all upset. You irritated.
Yep.
And then when this president that y'all call out of his name, call him all kinds of nasty names, come to the table and said, I'm going to sign this into the First Step Act. Now everybody is all upset.
Everybody's upset.
Don't nobody want to come to the table. You didn't come to the table for tax cuts. You didn't come to the table for freedoms. Now you're not coming to the table to make sure that the First Step Act to make sure it happened. Because of why? Because of your own ego.
Ego. That's right. They will prefer to cut off their whole head despite the rest of their body.
See, this is
just
what I'm
to
talking about.
Call themselves saving face because they don't like the president.
Save.